Alright, cool. So let's watch the Preach video. This could keep me away from Dragonflight. Alpha endgame impressions. I'm assuming it's the world content, filling bars and all that stuff. Cause I watched like a little bit up to like, I watched the intro skit and I kind of understand what it's about. That's why I decided to react to this. But yeah. But as always, we gonna go through the comments first. It'd be cool if during that great hunt event you track down a big enemy and while doing so come across its prey. Maybe there's bite mark, maybe nobody at all, and depending on your deduction you can set different types of traps and make the fight tilted in your favor. I mean, let's be real, do you really think the fights are gonna be that hard to begin with? It would probably be susceptible to just Googling the answers, but everything is nowadays, like everything is nowadays. Okay. Also, side note, I'm no developer, so I won't pretend to know, and I know it's out of greed or wanting to make money, which I get, but it'd be so much better if developers did not time gate things. If some guy wants to spend 50 hours in 3 days no lifting this new content, no lifting, okay, he has no room to complain. There is nothing left to do. He judged the content worthy of doing. It's a player's choice, but I know they want those months to tick over the sub revenue, so I get it. I mean, just because you get it doesn't mean they should be doing it. Oh my god, a sneeze, wait. Oh, fair enough. Well, let's do this. Well, actually, you're not in endgame Final Fantasy, so you can't even compare it to that. If you were in endgame for Final Fantasy, you would still understand this bullshit. You'll be like, man, this is horrible compared to like Final Fantasy, right? So it's like, if you take Final Fantasy Endgame and you multiply the amount of time it takes you to do stuff by like factor of maybe 10 or 15, that would be World of Warcraft. That's how bad it is. Right? Actually, probably more. You could probably factor it by like 50. That's how bad WoW endgame content is. How unfriendly it is to play multiple classes. Right now, for example, you're doing the MSQ. You can easily, while doing your MSQ, level a second character, right? A second job, and then continue from that job and have both of them kinda at the same level while you're doing the MSQ. Heck, you can probably do it on 4 characters. Right, especially if you're not playing every day all day and you're barely progressing the MSQ daily, you can easily get multiple characters on the MSQ. Like right now, you're what's it called? You are let's say you're doing work, you're studying, stuff like that. You can go on a job, do what's it called? An allied raid, and be practically AFK. Just like, you know, walk around, maybe click some buttons to like pretend you're not AFK. Get a ton of XP, right? You can do the frontline, which is basically a full level up. Practically AFK, doesn't matter if you win or lose, and you get that. Bard Singleton, bro, but I want to do Machinist. Yo, Machinist is really fun. I like Machinist more than Bard. The only reason I like Bard is because you can play music. I actually leveled my Bard to max level just because I want to go to Limsa Lominsa sometimes and just play music. That's it. Just AFK play music. But yeah, anyways, let's get back to the video. But yeah, it's like just Final Fantasy is just so much easier to do multiple things on. Dude, the Bard app is the shit. Yeah, I love it. It's so good. All right, let's go. Let's go, Preach.
Okay, Renown. It's time to diligently farm.
Dude, I love the meme of the diligent farming. He took it from, I forgot the YouTuber's, I think he's also a streamer name. It's this Asian guy. It's so funny. He said, it's like, well, if you're diligently farming, he's like, bro, no one is diligently farming. Everyone's grinding.
Let's do this. I can do this all day.
I always have to do everything myself. Passion.
Oh my god. Look at that. That's Ian. I don't know what this is from, but this is hilarious.
Notes make my world crust grow.
What's the patch notes? Discover the dragon out.
How can I defeat this? I can't fill a bar that big. No one can. What are you?
Oh god, bro.
Smells like
Torghast.
Torghast. We're in the open world.
So dumb. So dumb, bro.
Fill that fucking bar.
Fill that fucking bar. That's exactly it. This is literally World of Warcraft. Fill the fucking bar. Oh my god. 100 rep. All that. So it's like he was doing quests and it's like 75 rep here, 50 rep here. And then it's like you have this massive fucking boss. Oh, here's another 100 rep. Like, why? All that.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's finally arrived. We have our first look at the entire endgame for your casual playing experience.
I do appreciate that he's playing Red Paladin.
To Dragonflight. I know many of you are concerned about this because they have decided to remove all the mandatory things that they had you do in the past. So we're used to logging in with a laundry list of chores. We've got to head to the mall, we've got to collect our souls, we've got to go to Corthia, we've got to go to Zereth Mortis. This has got to get our legendary items, all that kind of stuff. They're taking that away, as many people, including myself, left the game over this stuff. It just sucked all the fun.
So his claim is not completely wrong. You did leave the game because of this. That was not the main reason, but it was a massive contributor. Yeah, the game was just shit regardless.
Out of just logging in and doing whatever the hell you wanted to do because you have this list of stuff to go into. This is going to be an awkward phase. We have to be clear about this. There are people who have never played World of Warcraft without experiencing this and not knowing, well, what do I do when I log in? And thankfully, and I truly believe this, with the rising popularity of the classic versions of World of Warcraft where those things did not exist, I think more of the player base is ready to accept a version of the game where you get to choose and set your own goals. And that is exactly what they're trying to do in Dragonflight, and now we have a chance to play it.
I can't wait for the guides people are gonna make online that are like, this is what you should do when you log into World of Warcraft every week. It's like, oh, a new laundry list, thank you.
They've given us all the zones to play in. You can now level all the way up to 70.
Yay.
You can see exactly what to do. You can get all your talent trees. We don't have every single talent tree in the game yet, but they're mostly here, and they are still looking, seemingly if you believe the leaks, to have this game out round about November. So we'll see whether that plays out. The Race to World First guys are a little bit... Are we going to have to raid on Christmas again?
Yep.
Are we going to see the last boss?
100% you're raiding on Christmas. It's the easiest release for Blizzard to make. They release a raid right before Christmas, and then they don't have to fix it because everyone's on Christmas break. And then they come back and they have a lot of shit to do. So it's like, you come back and you have work.
Wearing a Christmas hat like we saw with Side and Athreus? Maybe. So we've got a lot to cover here, and as you can probably tell from our goofy intro, there is some stuff that is my first negative impression of Dragonflight, so be prepared for that. The first thing is your casual gearing experience. What is that going to look like once you get through these leveling zones, which are fine, and then begin actually gearing your character? Well, the way you're going to do this is through elemental storms. Periodically throughout Dragonflight, these storms will appear. Now, the exact occurrence rate and rarity of things is definitely in question, but let me explain what happens. You will essentially travel to an area and you're just going to grind mobs. Now, you just saw a really goofy intro that we made because we definitely did not understand what this system was when it was in place last week, and now we've had some changes. In fact, we found an awesome area. Masses upon masses of Torghast powers were dropping. They were even better than the powers you found in Torghast, becoming monstrously huge, super tiny, infinite crit rate, infinite mastery. They're very temporary, so only people like Rex Troy would be rubbing themselves and using them somewhere else in the game, but it turns out they're not actually linked at all to the elemental storm that was taking place. Our initial impression of this system was that, oh, they're going to make them mob grinds, because that's all you do. You kill mobs there and they will drop a currency, which you can then convert into very, very good gear. Slight note on that one, though. They're currently 40 item levels higher than what drops in heroic dungeons. They actually are in place with what would be just under normal mode rating. It's blue quality gear. You can get epic quality gear, but that's going to be a little longer in the tooth.
Yeah, that'll be 20 weeks of diligent farming. But again, this is only good for like the first couple of weeks. And after that, it's like the gear is going to be relevant for most characters. And the thing is, if you make an alt, you will have to do this on the alt in order to do the current, like the Mythic Plus, the dungeons, stuff like that. So it's like, or you can just skip it and just go into Mythic Plus, obviously, but like, this system is going to be pretty much irrelevant as soon as you start doing actual endgame content, so...
But you can go down to these Primal Elemental Storms and just grind mobs for 2 hours or so. They're now up to 3 hours of being up, and come out with a really high set of gear. Not sure what's happening with Heroic Dungeons. I hope they haven't decided to just make them pointless. Heroic Dungeons probably just need a little bump up, but the item levels have been a little iffy in there so far. Anyway, let's come back to these Torghast powers. It was so fun. This, in fact, I'm re-recording this video because we said this is perfect. If you're going to have people do some of the most monotonous gameplay in the world, which is just kill health bars in a group.
Yeah, give them Torghast powers, make them unique and fun,
round and round in circles while they respawn, kill them again just to loot the mobs to collect a currency, then what you need to be doing, certainly in 2022, is actually disguising that with some fun, interesting things going on. And the Torghast powers were amazing for this. People were shouting, oh, if I open my map, I set off a bomb that detonates the whole area. It's super fun. And when I was doing that for a good couple of hours, I was purely focused on being as humongous as I could be. I didn't really care how many mobs we were killing, totally disguised it, and I had a blast.
That's true.
It's totally unrelated to the Primal Storms, unfortunately. And in fact, Blizzard went ahead and nerfed the anima power drop rate.
Why? But why?
In that area this week. When we went back to check it before putting this video out for you, yeah, they're dropping way, way less now. You can barely keep them running unless you're in a huge group and you get lucky, and it's like, you kind of fun detect.
Yeah, fun detected, ruin it. Oh my god, Blizz, bro. Like, why? Who cares if you're OP doing this, man? They need to stop doing these things. It's like you make something fun, then it's like, oh, it's too much fun. Oh my god, bro. No one's gonna be doing this content anyways. Fuck.
It was definitely a thing that was going on in my mind. But this then brings us back to the actual elemental storms. This is the mechanic. What are they? They're simply storms that give some sort of modifier to the area, and it's a negative thing. So if it's the earth storm, then massive tremors will spawn under your feet and they will kill you. Similar with the fire one, huge eruptions will occur. If it's the wind one, giant swirly storms will appear, all this kind of stuff. So far, what we haven't seen is any positive. And that's why I really hoped the Torghast power system was just one of the ideas that was going to disguise this mob grinding element into some...
I can't wait for Storming as a melee character fucking doing this bullshit. So dumb.
Something really interesting and fun. That seems to be taken away. So my feedback on this, again, not being super negative about it, my feedback would be, Blizzard, what you did in that happened to be coincidental area where you had an elemental storm in the same place that these Torghast style powers were dropping was fantastic. It made it so much more fun. And we genuinely believed from the bottom of our hearts that the other storms that were taking place in other areas of the Dragon Isles were simply not bugged or hadn't had their twist or interesting disguise system implemented yet. Now it has turned out to be the opposite. So my feedback would be, do something like that over there. If you're going to put these earth debuffs in, these eruptions and these tremors, then shouldn't I also be getting some benefits? Some kiss curse going on here? Perhaps I spawn earth elemental.
No, have you not seen Mythic Plus affixes? It's all curses. Never like plus and minuses. Well, the Mythic Plus 10 usually is a kiss curse, but like the other affixes are pretty much dog shit.
Or gain some sort of huge buff in that area that makes actually farming mobs endlessly grinding something a bit more interesting and fun, and not something that was taken from a game made 20 years ago, because that would be a good idea. Now, That's the Primal Elementals. Seemingly right now in the alpha, they're spawning very regularly, even to the point where you can have 2 or even 3 up at the same time.
Wow.
How often that will take place when it goes live, I don't know, but it is one of the most efficient and quickest ways of gearing your characters up. And we'll come back to what I estimate
At the beginning, yeah.
your gearing path will look like later in the video. Let's move on to your other casual content then. This is going to be the new Renown reputation system, all right? So don't picnic because you're hearing Renown and it's like, oh God, is all my powers and things locked behind this. No, there are no powers in Dragonflight. And a really crucial part of what we're about to talk about is that this is not mandatory. There's no power locked behind this. There is some gear to get, but it's more for the cosmetic side of things.
Yeah.
And by the time you would grind the Renown out to acquire these epic item rewards, you likely have replaced them from some other source, unless this is entirely your only content. Remember, you've got professions, the gearing system we just talked about with the elemental storms, all that exists in perpetuity. So by the time you get here with the Renown unlocks, it's really well for the cosmetic style of things.
I really don't like that this gear is only for cosmetic. I would hope this gear would just gives you like world buffs, like for world content. I think that would make more sense. So even if you find better gear in other content, this gear is just going to be so much more fun and enjoyable to use in world content. Like just kind of how you have the world PvP set, have a world quest set or some shit like that. Increase movement speed after killing mobs, increase damage, whatever, like I don't know, reduce cooldowns of abilities while in the world, shit like that. Just make it fun, make it so people will actually like want this gear for their world content.
So we've got 4 factions to deal with here. We've got the Dragonscape Expedition, we've got the Valdrakken Accord, we've got the wonderful Iskari Tuskar, and we've got the Marut Centaur, who are going to be running across the Unaran Plain in these proud races. Now, what are they all about? This is optional content. Be clear on that. It's optional content.
Sure.
But what we can see is all the Renown rewards, and they're kind of interesting. They've really tried to make them individual, give them a good piece of character. The Maruk Centaur, for example, you will gain yourself a big dog companion who will come with you, or a nice bird that will come with you, and give you massive buffs throughout the zone. They're a proud hunting race. They're nomadic. Their camp will move around from place to place. And along with each of the factions, you'll have some sort of interactable major event. So if you think of the Maw, don't think of them all. Change that. Think of an area where big events took place periodically, like a weekly event where there was some sort of invasion, some sort of big thing that you were looking forward to that would give you a nice, big, juicy, epic chest reward at the end of it. Each of them comes with something like that. The Iskari Tuskar come with the Community Feast, which gives you an enormous buff with huge versatility bonus for you and somebody nearby, and heals you constantly. Absolutely amazing while mob grinding if you're going to do Primal Elemental Storms. The Valdrakken get this Storming the Citadel attack on there. We'll talk a little bit more in detail on that in a minute. And the Onarans get this wonderful, wonderful Great Hunt. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. So you get each of these events to go on. Now, here's the first issue I have with Dragonflight.
Yeah.
I like the look of this. We can look right now, all the Renown...
So why is his hair so yellow? I mean, it is the lighting probably, but like, he looks... It's very fucking orangey here. Like he bleached it and it went wrong.
Rewards you're going to get, and some of them are really interested. The Iskari Tuskar, for example, unlocks some harpoons, some adventures that go on in the ice. They've had their story stolen. They're storytellers sitting in their camps telling all these old tales of wild fish that they caught, and they have a lot of fishing things involved with them. And you would think that their Renown unlock would involve those things. Going out and hunting that Leviathan that's lurking out in the ice, or some beast that was alive during the magmad waters near Valdrakken. All these kind of things would make a lot of sense for the Iskari Tuskar, and would be an interesting way of immersing you into their Renown reward system that all reflects onto that. Similarly, with the last video we made, where I was very interested in the Pokemon Snap stuff, and on the Dragon Scale Expedition, and the rock climbing. This sounded fun. Would we get lots of difficult rock climbing challenges, which would unlock Renown, which gives you more rock climbing tools, and seemingly indicates that you'd be able to do party-wide stuff along with those? Would we be hunting down rare beasts just to photograph them, as that's what they like to do? Creatures in their natural habitat, recording what's happening in the...
Not for me, but sure, whatever. Like, it's fun. Like, it's... Some people find fun, that's fine.
Dragon Isles, this new information that we're getting. And of course, with the Maruk Centaur, going on wild hunts. Some beast has attacked a village. We need to track it down. We need to find the bait. We need to find the footprints, and then we need to hunt it down. Perhaps there's even a hunting board. I'm not talking about Final Fantasy here, okay? Everybody says that when they hear that. But some sort of challenges that have been set down when you arrive at the camp that day. And unfortunately, there's none of that, which is a real pisser and actually depresses me no goddamn end. All right, let's talk about the first hiccup. I'm probably not going to do any of that content as it stands right now, and I just made it...
Oh, he's using the old talent trees here. As I saw the judgment, and he got Long Dick of the Law, but they removed it, so...
sound really exciting because that's what I envision, and it does have so much potential. Why? They seemingly have realistically locked this behind just grinding very atypical Legion-esque world quests. And I don't really know why, other than maybe they ran out of development time. It's
the usual.
So frustrating because the variety, and they seem to have rolled back the idea of World Quest 2.0. We've gone back to very Legion style, BFA style stuff, which is basically just fill the bar over and over again, right? The variation on what you do to fill the bar sometimes...
Yeah, the only thing is the Legion one was like, just pull all the mobs, kill them, and you got the bar. The BFA one was, each mob gives you like 1%, so you have to, like, good luck finding 100 mobs type of shit. Whereas in Legion, you could get like 8% per mob, tons of mobs in one location, just pull them all, get it done, easy peasy.
Sometimes you click things and kill things. Sometimes you just kill things. And it's over and over again. And they're not even related.
Fill the bar, fill the bar.
Or they're related extremely loosely to the factions that they are representing. It seems to be almost randomly generated. And these are easily the most efficient, normal way of gaining the reputation you need, because you do earn reputation, which gives you renown levels, to actually access this cool content that is locked away from you. And it seems very, very separated. One thing does not appear to lead to the other. And that's a real shame. Now, I want to be clear on this. I don't have a problem with world quests. But in this instance, I would certainly detach world quests from being the reputation source and simply have things, smaller things and quick things that each of the factions offers you per day because they want to gate it. Right? Ultimately, they want to gate this off. They do not want you grinding to renown 30 very, very quickly and being like, well, I've got nothing to do now. They want a slow and steady pace to get there. You can still do that while making this an immersive, interesting, and logical piece of content that ties to these people. If you put this arbitrary content wall in the way, which is how I see it, because why would the Ascari Tuskar give a flying fish for me to go and kill elementals in Valdrakis? It makes no sense. It's just stupid. And that's what I see. And a lot of course, as we all know, world quests are just repeated content that you've had already during the leveling process. They're just arbitrary, mindless, monotonous content. And for most people, it's boring. Now, there are a lot of people out there, when we talked about this, who like, I like world quests. That's fine too. And world quests should be there as a good source of filler gear, some gold, maybe even occasional rep tokens is fine too. Dragon Isle's resources, so you can actually spec out things like your Maruk companion needs Dragon Isle resources to talent spec it out. World quests should exist for little bits of recipe items, things like that, resources that a general player would use, or things they want to sell in the auction house. I think that's fine. Man. There's absolutely a place for world quests, and there are lots of people who enjoy them, and I'm certainly not suggesting take that away. My feedback would be here, don't gate off this seemingly, and again, I'm not going to grind this out, because it's so tedious. I've done it for 2 days, and it was awful. It was just absolutely awful. Just going through the map like I did every day in BFA, every day in Legion, just grinding out this brainless, mindless content because I want to unlock this. It just it's gated behind this weird wall. And let's come back to these big events. Let's take Storming the Citadel, which me and Chris took part in today. It was a multi-stage event, which sounded really interesting, but it was 4 sections. Stage 1 was fill the bar. I couldn't believe it. As soon as it started, it was like, okay, fill the bar. Now, okay, I can let it slide because we were setting up a base camp for assault. Okay, we're building tents and things, but you're just clicking on things and grinding enemies until you do that. Then we did that, and we got our NPCs in then because we're storming the Citadel. Step 2 was fill the bar. It was kill all the enemies in the area so we can then proceed. So of our 4-stage process here, we had 2 fill the bar quests already. Now, I will say they did put down some items on the floor, which did a lot of damage, like molten buckets of lava that you could throw at things and things that stunned big enemies. They did do that. They did recommend 5 people for this. We did it 2-man without any issue at all.
Oh,
1-man would have been very difficult, but the NPCs do
You get 1 tank and 1 DPS and you're good usually, yeah.
help you. They run around and you can heal them up and keep them helping. So some characters will definitely be able to solo, but for 2 players, it was a breeze. Stage 3 then. Seemingly was the final boss. And we were very confused by this. It's like, is this it? Is this all it is? And it's a boss on the corridor. However, he's also surrounded by friendly NPCs for us. So all you had to do was kick him. So Blizzard, you might want to fix this, is you pull him, move him 10 yards, and the NPCs just kill it. And you win. Okay, I know this stuff is not supposed to be hard because it's for everybody, but watching the NPCs just melt it down to the floor is not that fun either. And then, thankfully, another phase pops up where we have
I think that's fine, because you can just do that AFK and let the NPCs win it for you. I mean, that's kind of WoW gameplay is, really, so...
Go into the Citadel.
It's like, I gotta go to the washroom, let the NPCs fight, you know, make some food while the NPCs kill everything. You're just, like, sitting there doing nothing.
I was excited. It's like, okay, there must be something inside, and unfortunately not. It was another boss. And hilariously, you could also pull this guy just outside of the building, and the NPCs just killed it as well. And that was the end. That was the end. That was the storming the Citadel that I grinded my world quests to unlock and get involved in. So if it's going to be the big weekly event, it's something fun. And you've done this in the past, which is why it's so strange. So strange, because some of the feedback I got while talking about this, and yes, I know I have a personal hatred of fill the bar stuff because I find it very monotonous. I understand that. Some people don't mind it.
The thing is that's like... Fill the bar is really the same as just like any other quest. It's like, well, gather 3 of this. Well, that means that each piece is giving you 33%, for example, or 40%, right? So it's like you get 3 of them, you get 100%, right? It's like kill 12 of this. Well, that just means, you know, each one's giving you, I don't know, 9%, right? So it's like, it's just, it looks like fill the bar. That's the problem. But it's like, if you think about everything is technically fill the bar. Right.
Like a kind of mindless gameplay loop. That's something okay for them. They want a time waster that they can chill out, it's not too difficult, and they can watch TV or they can watch streams or whatever it is. Yeah. I get that. But my response to that is there's no reason for this to be boring. So if you're going to make something like this, make it interesting, make it fun, like you did in the past. You've made things where we went through portals like we did in the mall. When those assaults were going on, we got to do all kinds of silly stuff to mix in with the kill 10, kill 15 things. Something to give it a bit more interest. The same story then, is this, you're probably thinking, is this just this storming the Citadel? No, unfortunately not. The great hunts that we went on in the Anaran Plains, you would think that was going to be a great hunt. These are hunters, proud hunters. Their history is really rich. Their story is good. You get their companions. You want to hunt something down with these planeswalkers who are running across the place looking for camps to be set up and welcoming you into their tribe only after you've proven yourself to them. 7-stage event. 2 fill the bars. Kill the big boss in the middle. 3 more fill the bars afterwards.
Jesus Christ.
And you're done. The idea is there.
5 rep bug.
And this stuff, at least for me, should write itself. Because you have these proud hunters with a whole...
Bro, look at the Demonology Warlock with the fucking 8... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 imps, goddamn.
Full open plain zone. So why are we not stalking a prey? Looking for tracks, seeing what it's dealt with before, luring it, doing something along those lines like a hunter would do, and then perhaps fighting something fierce or vicious or hidden, something that maybe claws itself up from the earth, this mysterious creature. It's a fantasy game. You could do all that stuff. Instead, you kind of kill a relatively small turtle sat by a beach, and that's your gameplay. Yep. It's a little bit of a shame. It feels like a letdown, as there's so...
Feels like regular WoW stuff. I mean, you know, the whole thing with like making it more complex, like find this, find that, you know, bait it out, all that stuff is cool on paper, but you know, that's kind of... So Walson had something similar. Walson had that their second patch basically, or like after like they fixed the game, they had like a new season. and was basically like a hunting season. So it's like you find clues to the mob that you're hunting, but in the clues it gives you options of like what you found, and that would change the affixes of the monsters that you kill, which would then give you more different rewards and stuff like that, make it harder, make it easier. So that would be cool. So kind of like how you do Torghast powers, like you find a clue, and in the clue you find two options, and one option could make the boss easier, one option could make the boss harder, or just two options make it harder, but in different, like have a different affix or something like that, right? That would be cool. I don't think the whole like the bait it out and all that stuff, I don't think that's necessary, but like finding these clues and changing the affixes of the boss and like what the boss would be, I think that would have been cool. And then you just have like, yeah, obviously there'll be guides online that says like, you know, pick these for maximum rewards, whatever, but like still, that would be a lot more fun than just like go here, kill this, go here, kill this, go here, fill this, go here, fill this bar. It's like, oh, here's the boss, and so it would be the same boss regardless of what you did. So it's like, okay, well in that case, like why can't I just go to where the boss is right away and just fucking kill it?
So much more locked behind here. And I've got to be honest with you guys, I did not grind this out.
And I bet you can actually go to the place where the boss is, kill it, and would not give you the credit because you haven't done the previous steps, which makes absolutely no sense.
Why? I have better things to do, and I think that's what people are going to run into.
Yep.
I could spend the next 2 hours filling the bars across the map day after day in order to get my next renown level or part of the way there, so I can unlock the cool stuff, the new storylines, new stuff for my big pet. I can get new equipment, new rock climbing equipment. All that kind of stuff is locked behind these factions, and it looks really fun. But the road to get there is paved with monotony and boredom.
Misery.
And that's the stuff that makes no sense to me, because you've done better in the past.
Wait, we killed more of them? Kill back up.
And I would love to see you do that. Please accept this as feedback. This is the kind of thing that players like me, who you're hoping are going to come back and play full time, want to enjoy.
But
I do.
They won't.
But I'm not going to sit there.
And the thing is, it's like, for how long are you gonna enjoy this, right? Right now, the way it is, it's like, yeah, you'll do it once or twice, but it's like, you're not gonna keep doing this, man. It's so fucking... you know, it's just like, why even bother doing this?
And do BFA again and Legion again, where we were clearing the map of World Quests round and round and round and round and round in a circle. It's been years of it, and it's just not going to happen for players like me. For some players, this is totally fine, but for players like me, this is the first thing, the Dragonflight, that's made me go, And it's not mandatory. Super clear on that. Doesn't stop me raiding, doesn't stop me doing dungeons. But I'm in that weird position that many of us find ourselves in sometimes. Like, yes, I kind of want to check out all your renown systems. They sound really fun. But with this wall in the way of mindless day-to-day, over and over again content, remember, like 30 levels, 2 to 3 days a level, there is a weekly that if you gain 3,000 rep, which would be doing World Quest, they'll give you 200 bonus to everything else, but it's still in the same vein of being locked behind here. So I'd simply say more options. Can we get it from dungeons? Can we get it from content that we enjoy? Something like that. If there's no way of implementing a good, interesting storyline to go along with these factions that we could do on a daily basis, then perhaps there's some...
I swear, literally, these things look like you should not be doing them as DPS or healer. Just roll tank and just fucking take no damage and use the items around you to do the actual damage. Because like he barely does any damage as a DPS anyways because he's too busy healing himself. You might as well just roll tank.
Other sources we can go from for people who do not want the monotonous grind of world quests other than accessing this content. It is very similar for a non-casual player like a Raider or Mythic Plus.
And also, here's the thing, where it's like, okay, you gotta unlock all these cool things with this rep, like the mountain climb and all that stuff, like mountain climbing gear and stuff like that. Do you really think you're gonna be doing mountain climbing that often to make this hassle worth it? Or do you think you're even gonna enjoy those world quests after like you unlock these things for that long? Is it even worth doing all of these things to unlock that? I say probably not. It's probably not as much fun as he thinks it or he claims it would be. Like, it's cool to unlock it one time, and then it's like you'll do it once or twice, and you're like, okay, cool, I get it. It's okay. But yeah, this is not what like I would log into the game for. It's like I don't consider this to be the fun of the game, you know?
That you needed to grind out world quests in order to access a raid. Like, it doesn't marry up. It's the two are not synergized. And I understand the gating process, but it could do with being a little different. So from what I can tell then, coming back to it, what does your gearing process look like once you cap in Dragonflight? Well, seemingly for me, if you're, say, an advanced player, you're probably going to get to level cap, then you're going to be looking to trying to access Mythic 0 in your first week or so. Once you've done that round, which is then weekly locked, you're probably going to go straight to the Elemental Storms and start working through those to just grind out all the bits you're missing. And you can do that very, very efficiently. Now, that obviously leaves normal and heroic dungeons kind of left in the dust. Some normal modes for leveling, sure, but I'm not sure where the dungeons fit in right now. If I was to be efficient, that's what I would do. And if I was not an advanced player, I didn't have access to a group of friends, I don't see how I'm not just going straight to an Elemental Storm, joining a group in the pub finder, and just grinding mobs for a couple of hours,
basically,
and having a full set of 380 gear.
That's exactly what you're gonna do, though. That is literally what everyone's gonna do. No one's gonna do it. It's like, well, I'm sure there'll be people doing it solo, but it's like, why?
I'm not sure why I'm not doing that. So some reward structure would need some adjustment there to make that work. Let's talk about the dungeons, though, because despite the fact that I've just said those heroic dungeons might not seemingly have a place right now,
and
the two that we got released the last couple of weeks are actually really, really interesting and fun. So we got the Dragon Flying Dungeon. You've probably heard about this. If you've not, you get the entire Anoran Plains as a zone, and you get to dragonfly in there. They put some wind currents up there for some of you who might not be great with dragon flying or have a weaker dragon if you've not unlocked the talents. That allows you to swoosh around the entire zone, flying from boss to boss to boss. This is one of those curious dungeons where if they were to remove the dragon flying aspect, this dungeon would be considered absolute trash. I'm telling you right.
Yeah, probably. I mean, the whole aspect of this would be the dragon flying if it's like such a massive zone. I think that's a really cool idea by them to do that. However, I don't know how much you're able to do just the bosses. Like, do you have to like land at a certain spot and then you climb towards the boss, or like do you just go into the boss, kind of like a boss rush thing where you just like go in? Would be that you better kill the ads, because the ads give bonuses to the boss, so you have to clear them around the boss before you do the boss. Is it like kill certain mobs until the boss spawns? Like, there's so many ways to like do this. If you're strong enough, then you don't care if there are ads and shit like that. But it's like, I feel like this is a cool idea. At least, like, again, is it fucking like, oh my god, you can fly here, woo. Like, again, it adds flavor to the dungeon. I think this is a great idea. The only problem is, how is it gonna work? Like, how are the boss fights working? Stuff like that.
Right now, it would be considered complete garbage because there's just pockets of enemies and the rest of the Anoran Plains is dead. There's nothing in it. We'll come back to that in a sec as well. So you just literally fly to the mob, you kill 4 things which activates the boss. 2 of the bosses do exactly the same process, repeated. So you'll kill this boss and then you'll zoom up, kill 4 things which activates the boss, and then you'll fly to the next boss. Trash and the bosses only exist in their little areas.
Oh, so that's how it is. Okay, so I would honestly hope they would add something like a threat for you to use dragon flying for either too long or like dangers in the air. So you have to like fly low and then you can get trapped or something like that. So then it's like specific routes and stuff like that. If it's just flying from one zone to the other, like from one group of mobs to the other, I don't think it's as fun. It still adds flavor to the dungeon, don't get me wrong, but it's like there needs to be some danger to flying around kind of thing, you know?
Outside of that is completely dead. When we finished this dungeon, the first thing we did, and thinking back to Caverns of Time, if you remember this, the attack on Durnhold, was went and explored the zone. What secrets are beheld within this giant zone? Well, I just said
nothing.
17, there's nothing there. So I would really give some feedback here is, yes, the Dragonflight does exist and the dungeon works. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really good. I can't look at a dungeon and say, well, if you remove this aspect, it would be trash. It has that aspect. And Dragonflight does make it very fun. You guys swooping across the plains into the new bosses, makes it great. It's really fun, and I'm looking forward to Mythic Plus with how the routes and stuff go. But Blizzard is really good about altering their routes using their M+ affixes. Really hope to see that in here, because what we don't want in this zone is like it's a standard route and everybody just goes that route. So it loses the dragonflying flavor very quickly and becomes a gimmick. That would suck. So what I would also love to see here, and we've seen this already.
I bet that's exactly what it's gonna be, but yeah.
In several of the Dragonflight dungeons is profession modifiers. So in lots of the dungeons, if you have alchemy or enchanting or engineering, like we saw in Court of Stars and Legion, if you interact with something and you have a high enough profession, you can change the outcome, open new shortcuts, do things like that. You have an entire open zone to mess around in, right?
Yeah.
So why is the blacksmith not over there? Maybe he does something. Why is there not a mining expedition going on? And that way, with the speed and efficiency of dragonflying, if your group is good enough, you can actually make extra stops and utilize this massive open space that you've created. And I think that would add a lot more flavor and a lot more interest, especially if it changes around a bit and makes it more interesting. I know they will use
only thing is, this is the biggest problem that happened with Court of the Stars. When you're making your group, you had to basically, you were looking for not only a class, not only a spec, but also a profession, which made it really fucking annoying to get a group going for Court of the Stars, for example. But again, Court of the Stars was, in my opinion, one of the better dungeons that they have ever designed, simply because of these, but also it created making the group a pain in the ass. All right, it needs to be more friendly than that.
Affixes like emissaries and things to alter the routes at some point, but it'd be nice to utilize this open space instead of it being like,
Same like if you have certain rep, like let's say this is a dungeon for the zone, right? If you have rep with that zone, you might be able to get some boons and stuff like that, which then would make it so that you want to do the world content. Again, I hate that I wouldn't say that's like how would you implement that? That's the question, right? Because if it's too big of a boon, it's kind of mandatory to do higher Mythic Plus, but I should say it should be not mandatory to do a Mythic 15, but if you want to do the 20s and shit like that, then it can be mandatory, because there's no reason for you to actually do 20s aside from like your own fun. So if you want to make it easier on you to do the 20s, then you would go and get the other boons that you can get for this, right? But it's like a 15 shouldn't be hard to do without it.
A big vast empty
Maybe
wasteland.
something like that.
Our latest dungeon, lurking down into the depths. This is a really interesting, and again, another super quick dungeon with the most punishing, god-awful run back in the history of mankind. Like, I can't even process that
the other side all over
exists.
again.
If you wipe on the third boss right now and we did not find an alternative, if it exists, then more fool me. You're talking like a 6-minute run back or something ridiculous. It's so painful. It really is. So some shortcuts, something would be nice here to alleviate that. If it exists, make it more obvious, please, because we couldn't find it to allow this to happen. But the bosses themselves, relatively simple, but again, coming back to most dungeons, Mythic Plus is really going to up this. What we can see in Heroic and happen several times is you have to intentionally stop doing damage.
But not even only Mythic Plus. In Mythic, the bosses will have already at least one more mechanic. So it's like the Heroic boss versus the Mythic boss are actually very different. In Heroic, it's like right now when you're under geared, it's like you can kind of care about the mechanics. But like in Mythic, you actually have two mechanics, and Mythic Plus even more so. Right, and on that, there's at least one more mechanic per boss. So
damage to let the bosses do anything, and we did do that with the first boss a couple of times, is because you could just kill the boss and it didn't do anything. So looking forward to the Mythic version, but each boss has potential. I like the big froggy boy hopping at you, trying to get you. I like our big
froggy
lumbering guy who puts energy
Dragon
shields
frog
on and electrocutes the whole floor, and frost blasters. We did have wipes here. As I said, we had to do a run back, and some of the mechanics are a little nasty once they do go off. So we'll keep an eye on that one for what's going to be coming next. But alternatively, the next best thing that I've seen Dragonflight Alpha in this big open release of seeing everything is actually the multiplayer Dragonflying races. That's cool. So fun. You actually get to do laps. They queue people up in order to get in. It's super cool. It's very enjoyable to see that people are all flying together, because one of the things that me and the team internally have been talking about, even this morning before I spoke to you here, is
that's a good idea.
We really hope that what they're aiming for, and I think this is their vision, is that the cities and the towns look like something like Dragon Peak from Dark Souls 2, where the dragons are actually perched like gargoyles from some gothic city on the hills, on the sides of buildings, looking down, because it will really give that feel of being in the Dragon Isles. Now, their hardware limitation might screw this up. As you know, dragon flying makes you zoom past and all that kind of stuff, and people, you don't even see them happen. But it's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to, adding this vision, and having a little glimpse of that in this multiplayer dragon flying racing was super nice. All right, so I'll come back to you if they make any more changes, but that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next update.
The funny thing is, like, again, these are a lot of positives for Dragonflight, but these are like not the most relevant stuff. I would say the most fun part out of all of this was the dragon racing. I hope it's a queuable thing where you just queue into it, kind of like how you queue into PvP, you queue into this. I hope this increases your something, like winning will give you rep, losing will still give you rep, just a bit less, whatever. Or like, if you do it as a daily, everyone gets their reward, win or lose, so you're not forced to like always win. Then you queue like endlessly until you get like some really bad flyers if you're not as skilled as others and shit like that. But yeah, the dragon racing was probably like the best part of this. The dungeon, again, I already said my piece about that. Like, I agree with him, there needs to be some changes and stuff like that. The casual gearing with the world stuff, just add a set or something like that, like world bonus set, world content, whatever set, that makes it so it's more fun, stuff like that. Increase duration of Torghast abilities in the world, or like, I don't know, or make the Torghast abilities more fun. Something, again, it's world content. It's like, who cares? It can be as brain dead as possible. Just make it fun. It's at the end of the day. At the end of the day, world content is gonna be useless as far as gearing is concerned, right? So it's like, just make it as fun as possible. Like, just go wild. Who cares, right? More people will do it if you just go crazy. Same with like, take the good thing from corruptions in BFA and just throw it in there. Like, that's pretty much it.
Right, there's only...
Okay. Okay, that's the bloopers.
one take at this, so...
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
You ready?
Yeah, give it a beat.
All right, 3, 2. Fill that fucking bar.
Do we get it?
Tell me we got it.
Yeah, we did lose you at the end,
The head is a bit low, but yeah.
I landed right on my ribs on a corner.
That's why there's only one take, not because they have to reconstruct the whole cardboard man, but because he hit his ribs. Anyways, yeah, cool video as always. I love Preacher's video. Good take on stuff. And he's not too positive. He's pretty realistic about his views on Dragonflight and like his critique. So yeah, I do like his videos more than Beller's for the most part. Beller's are lately a bit too positive or too negative. They're not, I mean, it's hard to say. Like, I would say they're just overall too positive, but it's like, it's not critiquing enough, you know? Beller just doesn't critique it enough. He just says what the problem is, but doesn't give solutions. He at least, like, he critiques, he says like what the problems are, or like potential problems, and gives ideas of how to fix it. So I do like his take on it. At least, even if Beller does it, it's like not as common or just not as obvious kind of thing, you know? Anyways, that's the video. I'll see you next one. Peace!